Hello to everyone out there. I'm Poetic Heretic, and today we are resuming our Hanged Man card analysis with part 2. So as usual, if you're watching when this is not live, you may fast forward until 5 minutes in, where we will begin with the main part of the material. And in the meantime, I'm going to finish setting everything up. Do I have this webcam where I want it? I think I do. Alright, how's the audio? Okay. I'm gonna charge this. So we got through most of the material in part 1 today. Interestingly enough. So this part actually probably won't be that long, really. I'd say around an hour, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see. Live again with part 2 of the Hanged Man card analysis. So we will be beginning shortly. Still have both versions of the card here that we will look at. Although I guess at this point we've pretty much exhausted our known resources for the Thoth card. So we'll be looking at the Rider-Waite and kind of the card in general, I suppose. So just chill out here for a bit until we begin. I think the snow stopped, but it just came back. So guess we're in for quite the blizzard. I'm still running on 1 hour of sleep. I'll probably go to sleep after this stream. Maybe I'll come back later and do a tarot reading for donation of any amount stream. Those are always fun. Let's see. I got another notification about the winter storm warning. Let's see what it says. Just more snow, 8 to 11 inches. So 10 a.m. Sunday. Well, all right then. Let me get the first bit of material ready. All right. I see we are about 5 minutes in, so let us officially resume here with the Hanged Man card analysis. We're going to look at biddytarot.com, and then we're going to look at 70 Degrees of Wisdom, and then we're going to do a tarot reading on the Hanged Man card itself and how we can better understand it. And then that'll be it. I know in previous streams I've done like a sort of little review first, but I don't think we need that. If you want, I did a very thorough overview of this card in part 1, so if you really want to see that, you can go to part 1 after the stream or whatever, if you missed that. So anyway, this is biddytarot.com, Hanged Man Tarot Card Meanings. Here we go. Hanged Man Tarot Card Meanings, keywords: operate, pause, surrender, letting go, new perspectives, reversed, delays, resistance, stalling, indecision. Hanged Man Tarot Card Meanings and Description. The Hanged Man shows a man suspended from a T-shaped cross made of living wood. He is hanging upside down, viewing the world from a completely different perspective, and his facial expression is calm and serene, suggesting that he is in this hanging position by his own choice. He has a halo around his head, symbolizing new insight, awareness, and enlightenment. His right foot is bound to the tree, but his left foot remains free, bent at the knee and tucked in behind his right leg. His arms are bent, with hands held behind his back, forming an inverted triangle. The man is wearing red pants representing human passion in the physical body, and a blue vest for knowledge. The Hanged Man is the card of ultimate surrender, of being suspended in time, and of martyrdom and sacrifice to the greater good. Upright Hanged Man Tarot Card Meanings. The Hanged Man reminds you that sometimes you have to put everything on hold before you can take the next step, or the universe will do it on your behalf, and it may not always be at the most convenient time. You may have heard the saying, what got you here won't get you there, and that indeed is at play on this card. The Hanged Man calls you to release the old mental models and behavioral patterns that no longer serve you, so you can see your world from a new perspective and embrace new opportunities that would have otherwise been hidden from you if you didn't hit the brakes. Here's the thing. These quote-unquote pauses can be voluntary or involuntary. If you're in tune with your intuition, you'll start to have a sense for when it's time to hit the brakes and put things on hold before things get out of hand. But if you're out of alignment and oblivious to those intuitive signs, the universe will probably put things on hold for you in the form of continued obstacles, ill health, and breakdowns. When you sense the quote-unquote pause coming, pay attention to it, otherwise the universe will turn up the volume until you can't ignore it any longer. When the Hanged Man appears in a tarot reading, your projects and activities may be coming to an unexpected and abrupt halt. Don't keep pushing forward, hoping that more force will drive you to where you want to go. Instead, surrender to the opportunity to pause and view it as your chance to reassess and reevaluate where you are on your path. Something new is emerging, and you won't be able to see it unless you allow the time and space for it to come through. The Hanged Man is your invitation to welcome these quote-unquote pauses with open arms and surrender to the what is, even if it is different from what you expected. Take time away from your routine to connect with a new way of thinking and seeing. Sure, you might have to put important projects on hold while you do this, and it might be super inconvenient, but trust me, it'll be worth it. This is the universe's way of helping you see new perspectives and preparing you for the next up-leveling that is happening in your life. If you push or resist, you will meet more obstacles along the way. Instead, allow the opportunities to flow smoothly and effortlessly to you. The Hanged Man can sometimes reflect that you are feeling stuck or restricted in your life. What is holding you in this stuck position? What is preventing you from moving forward? On one level, the Hanged Man is asking you to surrender and let go. Instead of investing in specific outcomes or resisting your current circumstances, accept them and allow yourself to flow with life. On another level, you are being called to change your perspective and shift your energy, and may find that separating yourself from your everyday life is helpful, whether it's going for a walk in nature, going on a retreat, or moving to a new country. Change up your routine so you can start to shift your energy and flow more freely again. Reversed Hanged Man Tarot Card Meanings. The upright hanged man encourages you to pause for a moment and see things from a different perspective. Reversed, this card can show that you know you need to hit the pause button, but you are resisting it. Instead, you fill your days with tasks and projects, keeping busy and distracting yourself from the actual issue that needs your attention. Your spirit and body are asking you to slow down, but your mind keeps racing. Stop and rest before it's too late. The universe will only dial up the volume if you ignore it, and as a result, you may end up crashing. So, as soon as you hear the call, clear your schedule and make the space so you can tune in and listen. You may already be in a position where everything has been put on hold, much to your frustration. The reversal of the hanged man can indicate a time when you're getting blocked, stuck, or restricted because other people or other circumstances have left you on hold. While you feel resistant, it's important that you surrender to what is and let go of your attachment to how things should be. Be in flow with life, even if it's not as you expected it. Seriously, when does it ever go exactly as you expected? And loosen your grip. If your life has already been on pause for a period, the reversed hanged man may come as a positive sign that you can now move forward with a new perspective and a renewed sense of energy. You may find that events line up with more ease and flow, and you're ready to go again. There may have been a breakthrough or stark realization about how you need to do things differently. You're prepared to make those changes and move ahead with a new mindset. In a reading where a relationship is on hold, the hanged man reverse suggests that you are content to wait around, to a point. You realize that this relationship will evolve and, due to its complexities, you cannot rush it. However, you also do not want to wait forever, and you acknowledge that there will come a time when you must decide. The reversed hanged man can also signal that you are stalling a decision or action. You may think you're waiting until you feel 100% ready, but guess what? You're probably never going to be 100% ready. So, what are you waiting for? Take the leap. Make that decision. Do it before the universe decides it can't wait for you. And that concludes that article. So now let us move on to the book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom, and see what it has to say about the Hanged Man card. The Hanged Man. After the crisis of seeing what you have made of your life comes the peace of acceptance. After justice, the Hanged Man. Artists, writers, and psychologists have all felt drawn to this card, with its hints of great truths in a simple design. We have already referred to the occult tradition behind the upside-down posture and crossed legs. In discussing strength, we said that occultists seek to release the energy of the desires and transform it into spiritual energy. Many occultists, particularly the alchemists, have believed that one very direct way to do this is literally to stand on your head, so that gravity will pull down the energy from the genitals to the brain. Of course, only the most naive and optimistic alchemist would have expected such a thing to literally happen. They may have believed that trace elements found in genital fluid will seep down and affect the brain. More to the point, the reversal of physical posture serves as a very direct symbol of the reversal of attitude and experience that comes through spiritual awakening. Where everyone else is frenzied, you will know peace. Where other people believe themselves to be free, but are actually pushed from one thing to another by forces they do not understand, you will achieve true freedom by understanding and embracing those forces. The Hanged Man hangs on a tree shaped like the letter T. Now, this is the bottom half of an Ankh, Egyptian symbol of life, and is sometimes called a Tau cross. According to Case, the Ankh in Egypt stood for the Hebrew letter Tau, which is the letter belonging to the world. Thus, the Hanged Man lies halfway to the world. We see this as well in the fact that 12 is 21 backwards, and if you turn the Hanged Man upside down, making the man himself right side up, you will have almost the same figure as the world dancer. When we ask, therefore, what card serves as the halfway point for the major arcana, the answer is not one but three: the Wheel, Justice, and the Hanged Man, symbolizing a process rather than a moment. Notice that Notice that while the dancer extends her arms with their magic wands, the hanged man keeps his arms crossed behind his back. Remember also that he is upside down. At this stage, a deep spiritual awareness can only be maintained by withdrawing from society. In the world, we see that same awareness maintained amidst all the outer activities of life. Oh, that's interesting. At this stage, a deep spiritual awareness can only be maintained by withdrawing from society. In the world, we see that same awareness maintained amidst all the outer activities of life. Yeah, that's a fascinating statement. He hangs on an ankh, which makes his tree the tree of life. Recalling Odin sacrificing himself on Yggdrasil, we can also call the gallows the world tree. This tree begins in the underworld, the unconscious, and reaches up through the physical world, the conscious, to heaven, the superconscious. The ideas first represented by the diagram of the lovers have begun to actually happen. What we saw previously as concepts now becomes, after justice, a genuine experience. The hanged man's number 12 is 2 times 6, that is, the high priestess raising the lovers to a higher level. Beyond all its symbolism, the hanged man affects us because it shows a direct image of peace and understanding. The calm shows so strongly in the card because the hanged man has surrender involved, joining the rituals instead of just watching them. For many modern people, it involves releasing the emotions they have locked up for years. Notice that both these things are acts. Surrender to the world tree is an actual step we take, not a passive waiting. T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland, links the idea of an individual surrender to emotions with both the barrenness of European life after World War I and the ancient Grail mysteries. The wounded Fisher King can be healed by a moment's surrender, which an age of prudence can never retract. That was in quotes, moment's surrender, which an age of prudence can never retract. Earlier in the poem, the hero is told, quote, fear death by drowning. The ego sees surrender as death, dissolution in the sea of life. The person who gives this warning is a tarot reader. Eliot's poem helped to popularize tarot cards in the 1920s. Specifically, it made famous the hanged man. Actually, the hanged man does not appear in the poem, but is important because of his absence. The ego sees surrender as death. And yet, the weird paradox of it all is if we could surrender to things, we would actually be so much more in harmony with ourselves and the universe, with life itself, and we'd get so much more of what we wanted, basically. Eliot claimed to really know nothing of the tarot, but only to use some images from it. Apparently, however, he knew at least one esoteric fact unknown to even many tarot commentators, that, according to some esoteric writers, the hanged man, quote-unquote, originally bore the title the drowned Phoenician sailor. Madame Sosostris applies this title to the hero. Quote, this is your card. Surrender is his destiny, but he has denied it. Quote, I do not find the hanged man. The crossed legs represent the number 4 upside down. 4 symbolizes the earth with its 4 directions. By reversing his own sense of values, the hanged man has turned the world on its head. The arms and head together form a downward pointing water triangle. The way to the superconscious is through the unconscious. The Golden Dawn card on the right of the Rider version shows the hanged man suspended over water. Most tarot Kabbalists assign the letter Mem to this card. Mem stands for seas, or the element of water. Is there an image they're referencing here? Hang on. Yes, here it is. Actually, wait, this is a book. Am I allowed to show this? This is a published book. Well, whatever. Guess we'll find out. It might be a published book, but it's digital, so it's nothing that no one else could find for free on the internet. And no, not illegally either. Now where were we? So yeah, in reference to that, what I was just saying is, where the hell is it? The Golden Dawn card on the right of the Rider version shows the Hanged Man suspended over water. That was the point. We therefore see 4, the world, consciousness, and 3, here representing water or the unconscious in the Hanged Man's body. These numbers multiplied form 12. In multiplication, the original numbers become dissolved and form something greater than their sum. The number 12, like 21, suggests both 1 and 2. The card reflects the magician in the sense that the power drawn down by the wand has now entered the Hanged Man. We see it as the circle of light about his head. Wait, so let's let that sink in. The number 12, like 21, suggests both 1 and 2. The card reflects the magician in the sense that the power drawn down by the wand has now entered the Hanged Man. We see it as the circle of light about his head. Very interesting. The experience of really feeling the spirit force within life is one of great power and excitement in the midst of complete calm. The number 2 suggests the High Priestess, so does the image of water. Both cards indicated withdrawal, but where Trump 2 indicated the archetype of receptivity, Trump 12 shows an experience of it. 1 plus 2 equals 3. The Empress directly felt life through emotional involvement. The Hanged Man feels it through inner awareness. In readings, the Hanged Man bears the message of independence. Like the Fool, which signified doing what you sensed was best, even if other people thought it foolish, the Hanged Man indicates being who you are, even if others think you have everything backwards. It symbolizes the feeling of being deeply connected to life and can mean a peace that comes after some difficult trial. Okay, so let's let that sink in. In readings, the Hanged Man bears the message of independence. Like the Fool, which signified doing what you sensed was best, even if other people thought it foolish, the Hanged Man indicates being who you are, even if others think you have everything backwards. It symbolizes the feeling of being deeply connected to life and can mean a peace that comes after some difficult trial. The Trump reversed indicates an inability to get free of social pressure. Rather than listen to our inner selves, we do what others expect or demand of us. Our awareness of life always remains secondhand, never a direct experience, but only a series of stereotypes, like the person who models his or her behavior on the orders of parents and the actions of movie stars. The Trump reversed indicates an inability to get free of social pressure. Rather than listen to our inner selves, we do what others expect or demand of us. Our awareness of life always remains secondhand, never a direct experience, but only a series of stereotypes, like the person who models his or her behavior on the orders of parents and the actions of movie stars. Interesting. Never a direct experience, but only a series of stereotypes, like the person who models his or her behavior on the orders of parents and the actions of movie stars. I wonder if they're more getting at like living inauthentically or living vicariously, or both perhaps. Because yeah, I think depending on like the surrounding cards and whatnot, I think that the Hanged Man can indicate at times those who are living basically inauthentically, who don't want to actually get on board with life. They just want like a, I don't know, partial sort of pseudo existence that at best is a hell of a lot less fun because you're not really launching new desires or getting into the essence of life, and at worst is very, very unhealthy and could even kill you if you kept it up because you're not actually like processing things. Very unhealthy. The card reversed also means fighting your inner self in some way. It can mean the person who tries to deny some basic part of himself, or simply the person who cannot accept reality and who in some way or other is constantly battling life. By putting his or her ego against the world, this person too never fully experiences life. None of us can know the full meaning of being alive until, like Odin, we hang ourselves on the world tree, its roots deep beyond knowledge in the sea of experience, its branches lost among the endless stars. Wow. And that's the conclusion of that already. Seemed like it was a bit shorter for the Hanged Man entry in that book, but yeah, there it is. Interesting. Well, now all we have left is the tarot reading. Maybe I should have just done this all at once earlier. I don't know. This is taking far less time than I suspected. Anyway, let me get my cards. All right. I will, of course, be using the Rider-Waite because these are the ones that I am really, really good at. I'm really good with. All right, so let's get them arranged here. And yeah, we're basically going to do a tarot reading on the Hanged Man card itself. We're going to do a tarot reading where we ask the question, how can we better understand the Hanged Man card, and what else might we need to know about the Hanged Man card to better understand it? All right, so we would like a Celtic Cross reading on the subject of the Hanged Man card, how we can better understand it, and what else might we need to know in order to better understand it, more thoroughly understand it. All right, a Celtic Cross reading on that subject. Here we go. What else do we need to know to better understand the Hanged Man card? What information remains to be grasped about this enigmatic card? All right, here we go. Six of Pentacles reversed, the Magician, the Two of Cups, the King of Wands, the Nine of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Four of Wands reversed, the Seven of Cups, the Four of Cups reversed, and the Knight of Swords reversed. Okay, let me take a look at this. This is on the subject of the Hanged Man card. All right, let's see here. We got, funny enough, those double fours, talking more about the symbolism with the number 4 that we went over, the way the Hanged Man's legs are crossed and all of that. But the Four of Wands and the Four of Cups. Let's see. Six of Pentacles reversed for the current outside influences or perhaps heart of the situation is almost like saying, how do I put this? That the Hanged Man card is not so much about exchange with others or being focused on like rewards or, getting payment for the work that you've done or, payment or rewards coming in or whatever. Instead, it's about being in the moment. That's why that card's reversed. Six of Pentacles reversed for the very first card, because it's about retreating into oneself, not interacting with other people, and it's not about the rewards coming in for anything. The present moment itself is the reward. I think that's what the cards are trying to tell us here. And then, of course, the one and only Magician card showing up for the challenge card, as if to say, like we have gone over a lot of these articles, or at least some of them, the willpower of the Magician being connected to what we see in the Hanged Man card. So like the challenge for that card, or the lesson of that card perhaps, having a lot to do with willpower, like we see in the Magician card. And even the idea of sort of the opposites, as I went over earlier in part one. Like the Magician takes that solar active approach to creation, whereas the Hanged Man takes a much more, like you could say, lunar passive approach to creation, or just being, basically. Let's see here. What else is most relevant? Oh, I love how we got the Nine of Swords for the Hope to Achieve position, because this card can literally, at times, in a positive sense, indicate a spiritual awakening, and also, I think, even coming to one's senses, or also like humanity. And so discovering one's humanity by being present with all of one's different aspects of what one is thinking and feeling. So that's very interesting. Two of Cups for the underlying energy, of course, is going to imply that some kind of love, or really an inner love in this case, like an inner reunification of oneself, So like where normally this card, you think of like two different people or whatever, but in the context of understanding the Hanged Man, it's like, it's basically probably self-love, the idea of true self-love, being unconditionally present with each and every aspect of yourself. So there's that. King of Wands in the past position, talking more about the willpower, I'm sure. Let's see. Three of Cups. Interesting that it's card 12, and 1 + 2 is 3. Which, by the way, is something I don't think I really mentioned much earlier, talked about much earlier, is I think that sometimes the Hanged Man card might even talk about the idea of cycles, or things coming full circle, because again, it being card 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 months in a year, 24 hours in the day that are, divided into 12 hours for AM and 12 hours for PM. The idea of a cycle, and not to mention its connections with the World card, which is also about a cycle. So that can factor into in spread readings and interpretations. I would say so anyway. Anyway, what else do we have here? Let's see. It's interesting that the Four of Cups reverse showed up for hopes or fears. Because a lot of times that card reverse can talk about more openness and confidence, but with the Hanged Man, well, we really see more like a retreat from things. It almost would seem like the Four of Cups upright, maybe. So, but regardless, there's something there. The Four of Cups talking about Well, actually, yeah, definitely upright, I would think, because like the universe trying to offer him something and he's not taking it. There's different interpretations for this card, but one of them is that uh, this is someone refusing to give in to the temptations of the world and is instead like entering a state of quiet meditation and pursuing like deeper spiritual things. Like in that context, the cups in the card would represent worldly pursuits, and the person sort of meditating or whatever in the card, sitting there in the card, is ignoring those worldly pursuits for deeper spiritual goals. But it did come up reversed. So, but then the hangman himself is reversed. So maybe that's why. And it's in hopes or fears, for what that's worth. Seven of Cups for the outside force coming in. The idea of dreaminess and otherworldliness, the Neptune connection, basically. And it's almost like it could be saying that in the spiritual awakening of the Hanged Man card, you might see many different visions, strange experiences, but all eventually leading to, or all part of, perhaps, that spiritual awakening. Or at the very least, talking about the dreaminess, the otherworldliness, more the Neptunian kind of energy. And then the Knight of Swords reversed for the outcome card. I love it. Knight of Swords reversed to help us better understand the Hanged Man card. Well, this card reversed is the blocked energy of the intellect, which is what the Hanged Man card is all about. That sort of subjectivity. So it's blocking that excess mental energy so that something else can flow. And of course, we see this a lot with the idea of disidentification and whatnot, where people will try to essentially limit the use of their mind so that they're just completely present in the moment, like present in the now and experiencing the now. And of course, what are swords all about? Air. What's air? The mental world, and that's the mind. So blocking the mind, the card's reversed, blocked energy. Commenting more on what the Hanged Man card is really about. Well, there you have it. It's like saying the mind retreats, perhaps, in that card, so that something else can be experienced. In fact, the intellect could even be said to, in many ways, pull an illusion over us and block us from what's real, which is just that which is right here and right now. We live in this world of concepts and ideas and theories, especially if you're an air sign or have a lot of air in your chart. You live life through mental eyes, but that's really, well, at the very least, that's not all there is to life. And if you want to stretch that, you could say, well, maybe all that's ever really truly real, or all that should ever really truly be considered real, is all that is right here, right now in front of us. And that all this other stuff, our ideas and concepts, are just like illusions of the mind. So there's another way of sort of looking at it. Maybe the Hanged Man sort of has it all figured out. Maybe the Hanged Man is more tuned into reality than almost anyone. I don't know. What if we drew an 11th card for more information? We get Temperance, card 14, the Major Arcana. Interesting. Which talks about spirituality in its own way, interestingly enough. And alchemy as well, and transmutation. But I think we'll save that for 2 weeks from now when we analyze this card in depth. So, that's it, basically. Wow, this is the shortest part 2 tarot card stream I've ever done. But yes, this was very, very fascinating indeed. Exploring the Hanged Man card, which, remember, is exploring a very important part of ourselves when we do this. You know, you don't just watch a stream like this and it's just entertainment or something. No, this changes you forever. So, yeah, definitely one of the most interesting cards in the deck, I think. Like, I had a lot to say about it. If you go back and watch my summary in part 1, I talked for probably a good 30 minutes or so before we even started getting into additional material, because that's how much I had to say about it. Usually I just talk for 15 to 20 minutes, I think, about these cards. But yeah, I won't repeat all that here. If you want to see that, you can go watch that part of part 1. Other than that, I will, of course, be back on Monday with a new Seth stream. We'll be starting The Nature of Personal Reality. We'll be reading and analyzing that book live on stream. One of the best, if not the best, Seth book ever, in my opinion. And then I'll be back on Wednesday, probably for an astrology stream. Probably also do live tarot readings for donations of any amount that day. And speaking of which, I might even do that later on today, tonight, at some point. I don't know. We'll have to see how I'm feeling. And of course, next Saturday, I'll be back as always with another tarot stream where we will analyze the one and only Death card that day. That will be interesting. So thanks to those who have been here in the stream and those who are here in the stream earlier today. It's been fun. It's been very enlightening. I feel like I know so much more about the Hanged Man card now. I understand on a much deeper level. And hope to see you guys next time. All right. Bye for now.